Good morning, everybody. Good morning, TikTok. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. How are we all? Hope we are all well. Hope you've all had a great weekend. It is Monday the 20th of January. We're back at it this morning, back on the trail. Just let me actually shut. We've still got, the workman stroke builders, joiners, roofers, whatever, doing the job next door, and they keep walking past, and I'm just like, it'll just put me off the line. So let me just shut up. Anyway, good morning all. How are we? We've all had a great weekend. Yeah, so it is Monday. It's Monday the 20th of January. It is the third full week of January. That is what we are going into. And yeah, that's about it, really, right? Hope you've all had a good time. I'll see you. I'll see you later. No, it's all good. I've had a great weekend, actually. It's been really, really good. It's been very nice and chilled. Really nice, chilled weekend. Not really done much. A little bit of dog walking, a little bit of shopping here and there, a little bit of chilling. Nice bit of chilling. Was spinning on Saturday morning, then had a really nice chilled Saturday and Sunday, to be honest with you. It's just been lovely. I do like, I always go on about I don't like January. It's always a bit miserable and it's cold and damp and dark in the morning, dark in the evening. But I do enjoy the calmness of it. Does that make sense? I do enjoy the calmness of it. I do enjoy how chilled January is. Not doing anything, no hangovers, dry January, still in full swing. Yeah, dry January, still in full swing. That's all good. And not even been tempted. Not even. Oh, I've just spilled my bloody tablets everywhere. Idiot. Not even been tempted to have a beer. Not interested at all at the moment. My focus is on my my journey, my weight loss journey. Anyway, let's do the top 5 this morning. TikTok only. This is a TikTok exclusive, is the top 5. So no offense to you guys over on Facebook, YouTube. But top 5 is a TikTok exclusive. It always stays a TikTok exclusive. Dev's in at number 1, Faye's in at number 2, Pete's in. Welcome back, mate, at number 3. Donna's in at number 4, and Karen Haight is in at number 5. Good morning, everybody. Thank you as always for jumping straight on the line, coming and saying hello. Danny, good morning. Mama Bear, morning. And Maureen's in, and Claire and Julie's in. Morning, guys. Joe, morning all. Stefan's in, good morning. 87 done last week. I'll take that. Absolutely, mate. You should take that. Very, very good. Carol, good morning. Lisa, Paula, Sheila, Karen G. Oh, hope you had a great weekend, Karen G. Good morning. Who else in there? Oh, Steph's in. Good morning. Steph started on plan this morning. Rebecca, good morning. Kelly C, good morning. Karen Ozy. Oh, you're all in this morning. You're all in for the Monday morning boost or restart, or however we want to call it. Amy, good morning. Your meals have looked fabulous. Thank you very much. I always try my very best. I think, do you know what? We do eat with our eyes a little bit. Don't get me wrong. Look, the most important thing about food is it has to taste good. Right, that is honestly the most important thing about food. Whether you're trying to lose weight or not, it needs to taste good. Right, now I know we do eat with our eyes a little bit, but the most important thing is taste and flavour, and that is something I've always been. Sorry, I'm just trying to put these flipping tablets back in the packs. I've just spilled them everywhere. That's something I've always been very conscious of since I started my weight loss journey, because if your food doesn't taste good, you're not going to adhere to your diet. There's lots of things that we need to be looking at, and not just, for adherence to our diet, right? I don't like the terminology diet. Diet is what you eat on a day-to-day basis, but the word diet has become synonymous with weight loss, all right? So if you want to adhere to your diet, you need to enjoy what you're eating. And that could be, so a diet is what you eat on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't necessarily mean, weight loss. But if you were, right, I'm going to do a diet where I'm just going to eat nothing but pizza for a month, those pizzas need to taste good, right? Because if they don't taste good, you're not going to carry on doing your pizza diet for a month. You might be like, pizza's dead easy. No, but there are some really rubbish pizzas out there. There are some really delicious pizzas out there. right? So it's really, really important. Likewise, so something that is really important. So it's not just, what are the top five? Maybe I'll do this as a post. The top five things that we need to do to make sure that we stick to our diet, as it were. Number one for me is to make sure that what you're doing is sustainable, right? Maybe what I'm saying about Dearest today is part of the sustainability. So let's do the top five things you need to do to stick to a calorie controlled diet, right? Because that's what I teach, right? That's what I coach, calorie control. Right? Every diet in the world, every weight loss method in the world is a calorie controlled diet, because the only way we lose body fat is by consuming less calories than we burn. Some people will still argue that fact. It amazes me how many people still think carbs make us fat. It's amazing how many people still think, I suppose, fat makes us fat. It's amazing how many people, just have an overall unhealthy relationship with how weight loss works. But I ultimately teach a calorie counting method or a calorie control method. If you're sinning your food, it's to control your calories. If you're cutting out carbohydrates from your diet, it's to control your calories. If you are doing intermittent fasting, whether that's 16-8 intermittent fasting, whether it's OMAD, 1 meal a day intermittent fasting, whether it's alternate day fasting. I mean, there's some absolute bonkers fasts out there, right? It is to control your calories. Right? If you only eat between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m., it means you're not eating breakfast. It means you're not late night snacking. And for most people that have a weight issue, that will really help to control their calories. So, 5 things that you need to do to adhere to a calorie control stroke counting diet. Number 1, make sure you're eating enough calories. Right? Yes, you need to eat within a calorie deficit to lose body fat. Right? That's a given. Can't get away from that one. But you need to eat within a calorie deficit to lose body fat, right? But that doesn't mean you need to starve yourself. A lot of people go into this 1,000 calories a day, 1,200 calories a day. At some point in time, that is going to become very unsustainable for a lot of people. Your sustainability or your calorie allowance should be based off one thing: the amount of calories you burn. It shouldn't be a random number, and you should be trying to eat a bit less than you burn. And for most people, unless you are very sedentary and lazy or light, right? And I have got to say sedentary and lazy, because if we have the ability to do a good amount of movement and we're not doing it, we have to put it down to I can't be asked. Right? We have to be honest with ourselves. A lot of people, now don't get me wrong, if you're working with a coach now that tells you need to do an hour walk every day, and I've seen this, an hour walk every day, and you need to go to the gym for an hour a day, 5 times a week, then if you can't keep up with that, that's not being lazy. That's just an unsustainable approach to movement, right? But your steps are steps. Whether you're going for a pee or a poo, or whether you're making dinner around in the kitchen, whether you're walking to the corner shop, whether you're walking the kids to school, whether you're walking around to your office from the car park, steps count. They all count. And everyone can build a decent amount of steps into their lifestyle to their current ability. Right? So we have to be honest with ourselves, So, but if everyone does a reasonable amount of steps, and I'm not, I try and get my clients to do, if they're physically able to do it, 10,000 steps a day on average. Once they're nailing that, maybe introduce a couple of bits of exercise a week. That, for me, if you can do that, your calorie allowance is going to be fantastic. But for most people, if they can do 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day, and that is it, they don't do any other specific exercise, they just average 7,000 to 8,000, they're going to have not a bad calorie allowance, right? If they then go, well, I want to eat more than that, right? Well, you've got to move more. But if you don't want to move more, then I'm sorry, that's your calorie allowance. But you're going to have a pretty decent calorie allowance, right? So make sure your calorie allowance is decent, right? Right. So a lot easier to stick to 18. Let's say you burn 2,300 calories a day, right? Yes, you could eat 1,300 calories a day and try and lose 2 of those a week, or you could eat 1,800 calories a day and try and lose 1 of those a week, right? If you eat 1,300 calories a day, you might stick to that for 12 weeks and you'll lose 24 of those. If you eat 1,800 calories a day, you might stick to that for a year and you'll lose 52 of those. right? Slightly slower weight loss, yes, but you're going to adhere to the diet more. There's going to be a bigger chance that you're going to be consistent with adhering to the diet. All right. So, healthy amount of calories. Number 2, right? High protein. I'm going to roll these. No, maybe I'll do them separate. High protein diet, right? Everyone at the moment, I say everyone at the moment. It's not everyone at the moment. It seems like everyone at the moment because your FYP will be full of it. But obviously, something like Mounjaro is extremely popular at the moment. People are jumping on the bandwagon of it. And, is it going to go anywhere? Probably not. But is it ever going to be the main weight loss method? No. Why? Because it's never going to be prescribed and it's never going to be affordable for the majority of people. It's a couple of £100 a month, right? Which a lot of people, I take a lot of clients on board and they struggle to pay £30 a month, which is what I charge. So there's 30 million people overweight in the UK. And there's not many of those 30 million at the moment that have got £200 a month disposable income. Now, don't get me wrong. Is there a knock-on effect? If you eat less, is that going to reduce your food bill? And yes, it is, but people won't see it like that, right? And generally, you won't really notice. You never really notice that. You might spend less on food, but then you start spending more on other things, right? Your outgoings, if that kind of makes sense, Our mortgage has gone up a couple £100 in the last year or so, right? And it just means you sacrifice other things. It doesn't mean, do you know what I mean? And it just can't, you don't, or if the mortgage went down £100 a month, I wouldn't feel any better off because you just end up splurging out a little bit more on other things. Does that kind of make sense? Anyway, so and the only thing, I've seen so many people because it does pop up on my FYP. Actually, I saw yesterday. You very rarely see people making videos of this, but someone was talking about Mounjaro and people in the comments, I've been on it for 4 months, I've lost £5. I've been on it. There were so many people in the comments that were literally like, it's not working for me. Now you'll never see people making videos like that, which is what we will see on TikTok. But if you go through a lot of the comments, a lot of people are struggling on it. Why? Because they think it's a miracle cure. Right? And it's not. You've got to work really, whether you're taking Mounjaro or not, you need to work out. You still need to control your calories. You still need to get your movement in. You still need to be in that all-important calorie deficit. If you're not going to see any fat loss. Now, the main thing, what GLP-1 medication does is Mounjaro is it reduces, it decreases your appetite, right? Well, we can do that naturally, right? High protein diet will do that naturally for you. High fiber diet behind it will do that naturally for you, right? Is it more effort to eat a high protein, high fiber diet, change your overall lifestyle, change your overall eating patterns than jabbing yourself? Of course it is, right? So I'm not saying it's not as easy as that, but eventually with Mounjaro, again, you will build up a resistance to it, which is why people go from 2.5 to 5 to 7.5 to 10 to 12.5. Once you get to that top whack and that isn't suppressing your appetite anymore, you've got nowhere else to go. You'll have to come off it. But hopefully, by the time you get to 17.5 milligrams, right? And if that stop, and it could be 12 months before your suppression stops from that, you should have taught yourself that you don't how to control your eating. You have to do that alongside it, right? But anyway, high protein, high fiber diet will suppress your appetite, right? Behind that, your food needs to taste good, right? So your food has to taste good, right? It has to taste good. And last but by no means least, a really important one, you have to understand that there's no such thing as a perfect weight loss journey. So many people struggle sticking to their diet because as soon as they have a bad day, that bad day turns into 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months, and then they'll start again, right? We have to understand that every now and then things aren't going to quite work out the way we want them to work out, right? And all you need to do is brush yourself off and go again the next day, not in 6 months, right? So my 5 top tips for adhering to a calorie counting controlled diet method is make sure you're eating a healthy amount of calories, high protein diet, high fiber diet, make sure you enjoy what you're eating, right? And last but by no means least, and I suppose this is essential for any diet, is understand there's no perfect weight loss journey. You're going to have days that you'll go over your calories. You'll have days that go under your calories. These are my top 5. I mean, mate, I could do a top 10 tips, to be honest with you. I'm just thinking now about banking calories, understanding food freedom, and this, that, and the other. I could go on forever. I could go on for absolute forever around it. Do you know what I mean? Right, let me scan down. I had a good week, no takeaway, no snacks. Nice, James. Sometimes it just takes, I think a lot of us this time of year are very hard on ourselves because we're coming out of Christmas. We've had a period of overindulgence. James is one of my clients, but we've not worked together for ages. And I feel James has lost a really good amount of weight. He's done fantastic. But we talked about this last week. I feel James, probably before he started working with me, was probably a little bit over-restrictive with his method. So we're just trying to ease him out of that a little bit, because when you're very over-restrictive with your method, when you then enjoy a bit of food freedom like we've just had at Christmas, it can then be extra. I'm just picking these pills back. Trust me to spill the packet that has a full year's supply in it. Well, it hasn't anymore because I've been taking them probably for 6 months. But anyway, right, that's it. Me vitamin B12 is all picked up and good. But yeah, that's good, James. You back in it now. And again, don't go back into that over-restricted method. You can enjoy snacks. You can enjoy a takeaway. I enjoyed over this weekend a KFC on Saturday night. It was lovely. It was all planned. It was all built into my calories. Likewise, yesterday we went out with some friends, went for a nice walk, and we went to a cafe and I enjoyed a bagel and some pancakes. Me and Rachel went half and half on them. So again, part of adherence to diet is enjoying some food flexibility. Your food has to taste good, right? You need to enjoy some of the foods that you eat, right? You need to build the foods you love into your diet. I love a KFC. Right? I love fish and chips. I love a pizza. If I cut them completely out of my diet, I'm going to, at some point in time, really crave them. And when I really crave them, A, when I eat them, I'll feel guilty because I've cut them out of my diet, right? And B, when I crave them, I could go crazy on them, right? So rather than having that balance. So there's lots of things. I'll do a post, yeah? It's my friend, happy birthday, Beth. There you go. That's easy. That's an easy one. I had a Nando's yesterday and 3 wines, all within daily banked calories, feeling no guilt at all. Brilliant, Julie. And that's exactly the way I coach fat loss, weight loss. Right? There's no need to feel guilty. Again, guilt drives us into falling off the wagon. Right? How not to fall off the wagon of your calorie-controlled, calorie-counting diet. Enjoy some of the foods you love. Julie, she's on plan with me. She's been on plan with me since the beginning of the year. Julie's plan gives her some lower calorie days. It then gives her some higher calorie days. Once we start counting calories, we start understanding that actually certain things that we really demonize actually aren't that bad. Right? So, Julie there, she's gone out. She wants to spend her calories on a Nando's and a couple of glasses of wine. Fine. Right? Now, can you go to Nando's and blow 2,000 calories? Yes. Can you go to Nando's and have 600, 700, 800 calories? Yeah. Right? And still enjoy it. If you go to Nando's and get the butterfly chicken breast, get 1 portion of fries, and then maybe have some goodness, have corn or some broccoli with it on the side, you're not going to be anywhere near 1,000 calories. You're going to be about 800 calories. Right? And then if you want a glass of wine, 175 ml glass of wine is just over 100 calories. Right? A whole bottle of wine is 540 calories. Now, I'm not saying go and, brilliant, I can go and get smashed. You can't. Julie had 3 glasses of wine. Now, if Julie had 2 bottles of wine, right, that would have been over 1,000 calories, which probably wouldn't have fitted into her calorie allowance. And on top of that, Julie might have been, waking up this morning going, I shouldn't have had those 2 bottles of wine. And then, and the next thing, I need a McDonald's breakfast, I need this, I need that, I need the other. Again, I'm not saying you can't do that every now and then, right? But, if you have to, Julie might be like, well, those glasses of wine, they were 250 ml. So Julie had a bottle, fine. Julie's built a bottle of wine into her calories, fine. Absolutely not a problem at all. And and as long as the alcohol consumption yesterday doesn't affect eating today, no issues whatsoever. There's a lot of myths about alcohol and fat loss. Can you still lose fat while drinking alcohol? Yes. Will your body prioritize fat burning, stroke, even fat metabolization while alcohol is in the system, because it will prioritize getting, your liver will prioritize getting certain things out of your body, and it will prioritize getting alcohol out, right? So it might put certain things on the little back burner while it gets rid of alcohol. But if you're in a calorie deficit, you're in a calorie deficit, right? So if you burn 2,000, if you burn 3,000 calories a day and eat 2,000 calories a day, and if 1,000 of those calories is food and 1,000 of those calories is alcohol, or likewise, if you burn 2,500 calories a day and 500 calories of it's food and 1,500 calories of it is alcohol, you're still in a 500 calorie deficit. Your body will still make up that deficit with body fat, right? You'll still lose fat. Right now, I'm not advocating, go and get drunk while losing weight, because for me personally, alcohol for me is my biggest hindrance when it comes to fat loss. Why? Because as I just said there, when I drink, right, anything over 4 pints, right, and I'm a beer drinker. I don't mind the odd spirit and I don't mind the odd cocktail and all this stuff like that, but I like a pint. Right? I'm a pint drinker. I like a pint, right? And anything over 4 pints for me can send my eating a bit west on the day. So if I went to the pub in the afternoon and had 4 pints, when I come home at night time, I'm going to get the munchies, right? So I'm going to find it hard to control my calories, right? Next day, I can also, just from the effects of alcohol, get carby cravings. Now, carbs don't make us fat; they're not bad for us. But generally, when I say carby cravings, we label carby cravings. When I say labeling carby, I'm like, I want pizza, I want Chinese, I want McDonald's, I want McDonald's breakfast. Are they all carbs? No, there's carbs, there's saturated fats, there's all sorts in there, but I just call it carb. But I do crave biscuits and crisps, and those are predominantly carbohydrates, yeah? And I struggle to control my eating. Whereas at the moment, I'm doing dry January, and my eating is fairly straightforward. Like, I've not had any major issues whatsoever. Will I drink again? Absolutely, I will. I'm trying to do 100 days. That's my. I say to it sounds really bad when you're like trying to do 100 days. It's like, just don't drink. Really, you're not an alcoholic or anything. But still, this weekend we've got a friend's birthday coming up. We're going out for tea. And I'm literally like, it's getting to the end of the month. I'm like, ooh, I could, and I do. First 2 weeks of January, I'm like, I'm not interested whatsoever. And this weekend I wasn't even bothered, but we're going out for a meal. And we very rarely go out for meals in January. We sort of try and stay away from things like that. But it's a friend's birthday. It's a special birthday. So we're going out for tea. Am I going to drink? Nope. I'm not. I'll be on. I know the place we're going. They do Zero Asahi. So I'll be on a couple of those. Yeah, we'll have a couple of those, and that's it. Asahi Zeros, and enjoy my Italian. Right, let me scan down. So many benefits to not drinking. Of course there are. But it's like saying, there's so many benefits to not eating pizza. Right? What are the benefits to not eating pizza? Well, pizza's calorie dense. Yeah, pizza's high in saturated fat. But again, the devil is always in the dose, right? For me personally, there are some benefits to drinking. And like I say, I'm not advocating alcohol. I'm not trying to tell people to go out and drink that. But for me personally, what are the benefits to drinking? I enjoy it. It's something I enjoy. It's something that if I go to the pub, game of darts or watch the footy, couple of pints with my mates, put the world to rights, it's a stress relief. It's only when we take it too far where it becomes an issue, and that's the same with that's the same with anything, isn't it? That is the same with anything. So I want chips when I drink. I want everything when I drink. Chris is my big thing. It certainly made it easier nowadays with alcohol-free beers, because they have become so good. Oh my God, I got Star of Pramen last week. It was just in Aldi. I've never seen it. I've never tried it before. I might have seen it before. I go through phase, like when you're doing like dry jam or whatever, you look out for, and they're everywhere with all the shops, aren't they? All the dry jam sort of stuff, right? Star of Pramen, wow, absolutely sensational. I did not know I wasn't drinking a proper beer. And I say that as a proper beer. Like, it had the back kick, it had the flavour, it had the dryness, you could taste the hops. It was like, wow, that is a great beer. And I'm like, if my local got that on draft, right? I would hardly, honestly, because when I go to the pub to watch the footy and I'm just having 2 or 3 pints, and I'm not going to get drunk. I just like a beer. I like the flavour of beer. I don't go because I want to get drunk. I go because I love the hoppiness, the dryness. I love trying different beers. Right? If they had that on draft, I'd be like, yeah, I'll have 3 of them. Not a problem, you know. Neil, can you share that pic of beer from Aldi, please? Oh, what beer from Aldi? Do you mean the Star Prime from Lidl? I just said. Right. Anyway, let me. Hiya, could you give? This is just come through on YouTube. Hiya, could you give some thoughts on shorter women weight loss and hypothyroid? I have to take calories really low. I've lost 5 stone in a year and a half. Now maintaining and do weight at gym 4 times a week. All right, Paula. Well, first of all, congratulations on your weight loss so far. But you've lost 5 stone in a year and a half. So that is a healthy, sustainable calorie allowance, right? What were your calories to lose that fat? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I can work out your calories that you've eaten off what you're burning. So a lot of people think they've eaten really low calories when they actually haven't. But when you think you've eaten really low calories, look, let me break down Paula's thing. So she put, can you give some thoughts on shorter women? Your height doesn't make a massive difference. We think it does, but it actually doesn't. All right. The biggest difference for our calorie burn is our weight. Right. That is number one. It's all about weight. Right. Height. The only difference height makes is I'm 6'5". Right. And because I'm taller. Right. I've got longer limbs. My body has to work a little bit harder for my heart, which the heart is always in the center of the body. Right? Your heart is always there. It doesn't matter whether you're 4'11" or 6'5", the heart is always in the center of the body. But the taller you are, that means the end of your limbs are further away from this thing. So this thing has to work a little bit harder to get blood flow to my fingertips, to my toes. Right? And because of that, my heart works a little bit harder for blood flow than someone that's 5'2", where they're a bit shorter. But that heart working a little bit harder doesn't really make a massive difference, right? So the difference between, if you have a female and they both weigh 15 stone and one is 5'2" and one is 5'10", the calories aren't ridiculously different. They're genuinely not, right? Now, in terms of hypothyroidism, right, an underactive thyroid. So I always talk about this. This is your thyroid gland. Right, this is my thyroid gland that sits in my neck, and it helps to regulate my metabolism. And if I have hypothyroidism or an underactive thyroid, my metabolism is a little bit lower. Right, if I have hypothyroidism or an overactive thyroid, it is a little bit higher. It is just a little bit. If your thyroid downregulated your metabolism loads, you'd be dead. Right? It really is that simple. Now, on average, it's about 10%. So if your metabolism should be 1,800 calories a day, so your metabolism is the amount of calories you burn at rest or asleep for body function, brain, heart, lungs, growing skin, growing hair, all that sort of jazz, right? If you have hypothyroid, it's about 10%. So if your metabolism is 1,800 calories a day and you've got hypothyroidism, it's about 1,600 to 1,600. So it's about 150 calories less a day than it should be. Now, don't get me wrong. You times that by 7, that's 1,800 calories over a week. So, 1,800 calories is half a pound of body fat. But, right, there's lots of things we can do to counterbalance it. Now, some people get medicated for, if you have an underactive thyroid and you're medicated for it, no issue. That medication is there to correct the hormone imbalance, and your metabolism won't be that you have hypothyroidism, but your metabolism will be counterbalanced because of your medication. So that's not an issue. If you're not medicated for it, it's it is simple. It takes effort. I'm not saying it doesn't, but any female out there that has hypothyroidism, your movement's got to be decent. Your movement's got to be decent, and you've got to have a high protein diet, right? You have those two things that will easily counterbalance your hypothyroidism, right? So if you were doing 6,000 steps a day, right? Let's say I work out your calories, right? And it's 6,000 steps a day, right? and your current weight and everything, right? And that works out that your metabolism is, I don't know what you weigh, 16 stone, whatever. Your metabolism's 1,800 calories a day, doing 6,000 steps a day. So you're burning, I don't know, 2,200 calories a day, right? We'll take 10% off your metabolism, not your overall calorie burn. So 1,800, 120. So actually now you're on probably something like 2,000 calories a day calorie burn. So if I'm going to take 500 calories off that, that puts you at 1,500 calories, right? If we then go from 6,000 steps a day to 10,000 steps a day, right, and start eating a high protein diet, something over 100 grams of protein a day, protein satiating, it has a high thermic effect. It does actually boost your, it classes as boosting your metabolism. So if you're eating, a decent amount of protein with each meal, right, and you go from doing 6,000 steps to 10,000 steps a day, you're going to have increased your calorie burn by 300 calories a day. So now you're back up to that 1,800. If you do that and you don't have hypothyroidism, right, you'll be at 2,000 calories a day. But still, 1,800 calories a day isn't ridiculous, right? It isn't ridiculous. So average 800 calories a day. I honestly track everything. Food, drink, absolutely. Paula, I'm not. You can say there's absolutely no. I mean, it depends what. I don't know what you weigh. You might come to me now and go, yeah, I weigh 10 stone. Right? Okay. Well, you don't need to lose weight then, right? If you weigh 10 stone and you've got hypothyroidism and you're 5'4", you need to just be happy at being 10 stone, right? Because you will have to, or you need to really move a lot. It really is that simple. People that don't have loads, you're 15 stone, but Paula, come on plan with me, come into my community. I'll work out your calories with your height, your current weight, and I'll give you your calories. It won't be 800 calories a day. No one needs to eat 800 calories a day. Do you know, kids that are 4 eat 800 calories a day, not adults, not for weight loss, right? So obviously there are some discrepancies somewhere with accuracy and accountability with tracking. And I mean that since I've worked with nearly, I've just signed up my 780th client. There'll be people on this live now on TikTok or on Thingy coming to my community. I've got loads of people with underactive thyroids, loads of females going through the menopause. I've got clients with polycystic ovaries. All did the same thing. I need to eat stupid low amounts of calories. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do the other. They come on plan with me. I had she won't mind me saying this because she does say it quite often on the lives and stuff. I've got a lady called Danny. She started with me this time last year. Same thing. She's got PCOS, couldn't do this, couldn't do that. She lost 60 pounds last year, eating 2,100 calories a day. She ate 2,100 calories a day. She averages 9,000 steps a day, but she's very good at her tracking. She's on it. And she lost 60 pounds last year, right, with PCOS, right, polycystic ovaries, right? Because when she sort of realised that it was nothing to do with that, here's your calories, here's your healthy amount, stick to that, get a bit of movement in, done, right? So, I've only got snippets of information there, Paula. I don't know how much you weigh. I don't know how much you move. I don't, if you're going to come to me and go, well, I weighed 15 stone. I do X amount, and I know it might be really frustrating, but if you're eating 800 calories a day, that is just going to be causing depending on what you weigh, that is going to be absolutely accentuating your underactive thyroid, right? Because you're starving yourself. Right, and when we starve ourselves and we don't have loads of excess body fat, I don't know how much you currently weigh. Right, you can get metabolic adaptation, so that could just be accentuating it. But I've worked with I've signed up. I think I've just signed up my 782nd client, and I've worked with everyone, and not one of my clients eats 800 calories a day. No one eats 800. Like I say, 4-year-old eats 800 calories a day. So, and if you're a full, you do not need to be eating the calories of a 4-year-old to lose weight. Yeah. So TikTok profile or I did this last week. So my link tree is on my Facebook page. It's on my YouTube page. It's on my YouTube channel, it's on my TikTok, in my profile on my TikTok, it's on my Instagram. So click on my link tree. The first tab in my link tree is an inquiry form. Send that over. Second tab of my link tree is my one-to-one plan. I've got a January offer on at the moment. It's 20 quid to sign up, 30 quid a month after that for 3 months. Complete 3 months, you'll get your 4th month free. You've literally got till Friday, a week on Friday, so 31st of Jan. That's the last day. Once our January deal's done, it'll go back up to normal price. 30 quid sign up, 30 quid a month, right? Let's come get signed up. If you don't feel like you want one-to-one, but you just want to make sure that your calories are right, you want a bit of support, you want to come and interact with other people in the group that are probably going through the same thing that you've gone through in the past, join my community. It's £5 for your first month using code WELCOME. You get a full calorie breakdown from me. You get access to the community. You can come into the WhatsApp chat groups. You can come into the Facebook group. You can ask lots of questions in there, and it is a really good place for people to get some to get a lot of help. I weigh 8 stone 7 pounds now, 5'1". Right, so Paula, you're slipping into disordered eating. You're 8 stone 7, eating 800 calories a day. What we need to do now is get you healthy. Right, you're 5'1". You're virgin on being underweight. Right, so. Okay, so you weren't ridiculously overweight anyway. If you've lost 5 stone, you were 13 stone, right? You've crash dieted to go from 13 to 8'7" in the space of a year and a half is very low calories anyway. You'll have zero excess body fat. So if you're eating 800 calories a day, your body's going to be fighting and crashing left, right, and centre against you because you're malnourishing yourself and you're verging on disordered eating. Well, if you've not created that already, right? And I'm, you know, it's not good. It's not good. So again, I'm a weight loss coach, but if you come on, I'll give you your healthy calories to maintain. I would say you probably need to gain a little bit back. I would want you to be healthy, to be probably 9 stone, right? At least, like, you might be like, well, no, I need to. No, that's in your mind that you need to be a ridiculously low amount of weight. No, you don't. All right? Oh, no, you don't. You need to be healthy. That's what you need to be. And currently, you're not healthy. So we need to get you healthy, Paula. All right. Hello. How much iron-rich foods would you need to eat to get enough iron? I've started taking iron that you recommend as I don't eat a lot of red meat. Thank you. Look, how much? It's subjective to everyone. You know, if you're worried about getting iron into your diet, just buy this. Nutrition Geeks, Iron Energy. Right, take one of them a day. That's more than enough iron for anyone. And anything that you get extra from, you know, your iron-rich foods, red meat, you know, certain veggies, spinach, stuff like that, is just a bonus. Is just a bonus. You don't need, you know, if you're concerned about iron, I assume it's because you're is it anemic? Is it anemic for iron? So yeah, supplement it. And then anything else is a bonus. I did 100 days last year. Felt great, to be fair. Yeah, I do get it. It is that balance. And, you know, really, like I say, for me, having a couple of beers is never an issue. It's when I decide to go and have a day session and stuff like that, which I don't do that often. But I'm going to do 100 days. I'm going to go, 100 days is the 10th of April, which, like I say, coincidentally, is when I went on a stag do last year on the 11th of April. So I didn't quite do 100 days last year. I did about 60, 70 maybe. I did January. I had a beer the second or third weekend in March last year. I can't remember. But yeah, I'm going to do 100 days. Does 10,000 steps a day class as moderate exercise for a TDE calculator? The thing with TDE calculator is it only tracks exercise, and that's the difference between, well, not the difference, but one of the differences. My calorie calculator, I have steps and exercise as two separate things. So it depends how you're doing your 10,000 steps a day. If you're doing your steps are steps, and we don't need to look into it that deeply. But if someone comes to me and says, I do 10,000 steps a day from walking, I might do a little bit on the treadmill in the gym, I walk the dog, I do this, I do that, I do the other, I go for a walk on my lunch break, I go for a walk in the evening. I class that as steps. I don't class that as exercise, right? Depending on who you are, all right? Again, there's a lot of different sort of things we need to look at in a way. You know, if you're someone that's quite overweight and you don't exercise a lot, then just going for a 15-minute walk will be exercise. But, you know, now, if you're doing, no, I do my 10,000 steps because I go walk on an incline treadmill every day in the gym, then that is that is getting steps in and it's getting exercise in at the same time. It's kind of ticking two birds with one stone. But, you know, with your online calorie calculators, just select an amount. They're going to be inaccurate anyway. So whether you select something like low or high, low, medium or high, they're going to be out. Right? So just select the one you think's right. I always say this about online calorie calculators. They give you a rough ballpark number. You then need to work from that number. All right. So if you're going to use a free online calorie calculator, this is exactly how you have to do it. Right. If you want to be doing this right. All right. So what you want to do is you want to go on, work out your calories for your current weight, your current movement, and everything like that. You then want to weigh yourself, right? You then want to sit to those calories for 2 weeks, doing what you do, and then you want to weigh yourself after 2 weeks, right? Now, that is your whoosh. We call it a whoosh effect, right? And from eating healthier, moving more, any excess food weight, water retention in the body will pretty much have gone for those 2 weeks. Now, what we're then going to be measuring is fat loss, right? Now, whether you weigh yourself daily, weekly, whatever, it doesn't matter. What you want to do is weigh yourself, 2 weeks later, weigh yourself. That's your start weight for working out your calories. Now, I've already worked out my calories on online. No, you worked out a very rough ballpark figure. Now we need to work out your calories, right? Right? So you've got this start point after the 2 weeks. You then need to look at what the scales have done after 4 weeks on top of that, right? So whether you weigh yourself, it doesn't matter. You want that data and then 4 weeks of data, right? What have the scales done, right? If you've lost 4 or 5 pounds, maybe up to 6, great. That you've nailed it, actually. That online calorie calculator has got your weight on it, right? And you've got to be consistent at sticking to those calories to do this, yeah? Right? If you've lost 1 or 2 pounds, you're eating a bit too much. If you've lost 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pounds, you're eating a bit too little. So then you need to adjust accordingly, right? Then when you get your new calories that you've adjusted, so maybe add 200 or deduct 200, do that again for a month. What the scale's done this time? Right, so first 4 weeks, I lost 11 pounds. I've added 200 calories a day to my deficit. Second 4 weeks, I've lost 8 pounds. Right, for me personally, they're still a little bit high. Let's add 150, right? Or first 4 weeks, I lost 2 pounds, right? So I'm eating a bit less. Second 4 weeks, I've lost 3 pounds, right? Well, you need to reduce them again. You need to do a little bit of trial and error over a couple of months to get down to that healthy, sustainable calorie allowance, right? It's a free online calorie calculator. It's a very generic bit of kit that will give you, like I say, a rough ballpark figure, right? So you need to do that, yeah? So don't be too concerned about, am I this active, am I that active? Choose what you think's best, right? Take that number, eat it for 2 weeks, then weigh yourself, right? Because whether you're eating a little bit too many calories or a little bit too few calories, you'll still get that whoosh at the beginning, all right? And then work from there, yeah? Right, let me scan up. This 2 week weighing totally is a revelation to me. I love it. Yeah, because why do I get my clients to weigh every 2 weeks? Because as long as you're being consistent, if you get on the scales every 2 weeks, you're always going to see a result. Not always, but 95% of the time, you're going to see a result that you want to see on the scales, which is a loss, right? And one of my coaching philosophies is to keep all my clients, whether you're just in the community or you're on plan with me, positive and smiling and happy. Positivity breeds consistency. Negativity, inconsistent. So when you're sat there weighing every day and stamping your feet because I've been really good this weekend. I said no to Kirsty's birthday party, or I was designated driver. I didn't drink. Everyone else was getting smashed around me. I didn't drink. I had 1 vol au vent and 1/4 of a sandwich off the buffet, right? And then I've done this and I've done that. And then I got up at 6 a.m. Sunday morning and did a 2-hour walk and came home before the kids were even out of bed. And then you get on the scales on a Monday, and for whatever reason, a bit of stress in the body, bit of lack of dehydration, maybe a bit of excess salt, you gain a pound. You just straight away going, what's the flipping point in this? I've sacrificed my friend's birthday. I've done this. I've done that. I've put loads of effort in. And it's just a daily fluctuation. We see them, right? But unfortunately, daily fluctuations mess with our head. And I can sit here all day, all night long going, don't get stressed about daily fluctuations. It's just water weight coming in and out of the body. It's food weight coming out of the body. It doesn't matter because it goes in this ear, it comes straight out the other ear because we are emotionally attached to the scales, right? The scales are like an abusive relationship, right? All your best mates are telling you, get out, leave them, move on with your life. You can do better than that. But for whatever reason, you keep staying there. You keep coming back, right? Even though you get treated like dirt, even though... Now, the honest truth is, if you step back from that abusive relationship, right, and then just saw that person once every 2 weeks for a couple of hours, right, you'd probably be like, do you know what? They're all right now. I'm not saying they are all right. You need to stay, an abusive relationship compared to scales is a bit more deeper than that, right? But you can probably tolerate them for 2 weeks, and they probably tolerate, and you probably, the relationship probably, and I don't mean it's an abusive relationship as it's one sided, right? You could be as bad as the other person. Does that kind of make sense? Maybe not. But, it's a bit different seeing someone once every 2 weeks and seeing them every day, right? When you're constantly falling out. Right, so that's what I'm trying to get at. So basically, yeah, that is the reason. And if we are consistent, if you're being inconsistent, it don't weigh 18 times a day. It doesn't really make a difference. But as long as you're putting the effort in and you do what we need to be doing most of the time, if you get on the scales every 2 weeks, you're going to see more often than not. Yes, you're going to see the odd gain. Yes, you're going to see the odd maintain. That is always going to happen. That's just the journey as it goes. But if you see 5 losses in a row and then a maintain, yes, that maintain may be a bit frustrating, but you've had 5 losses previous, and it's like, do you know what, I'm doing all right. It is what it is. I'm doing what it is. Especially if I'm your coach, because you message your maintaining to me when you check in, and I'll justify it for you. Now, once you've got a healthy relationship with the scales, once you fully understand, you've stepped away from that abusive relationship, and you've turned that abusive relationship actually into a flowering, beautiful relationship where everyone's happy and everyone loves each other and everything's good, right? Then you can see that person every single day, right? You go through a bit of therapy, everyone improves themselves, right? And seeing that person once every 2 weeks, he's going through a bit of therapy. He's sorting it out. Hopefully you can sort it out. And that abusive relationship where everyone hates each other and you're all shouting at each other and slamming doors in each other's faces and, develops, and hopefully you sort it out, right? You can sort it out with the scales, right? That's what, that I'm like a counselor, yeah, sorting out those scales. So that's the reason why I get my clients to weigh every 2 weeks. Like I say, I can sit here. If you go watch my podcast, episode 9 of my podcast is about turning the sad step into the happy step. It fully explains how scales work. And if you watch that and take it all on board, you'll be like, right, I get it. And then a week later, you'll get on the scales and they'll go up when you don't want them to, and you'll be straight back to square one, really annoyed with yourself. Yeah. My watch says I do over 70 minutes of exercise. Yeah, well, that's because. So Stefan has an Apple Watch like I do. And when you take your heart rate above a certain rate, the Apple Watch adds calorie burn to your red ring. And then when you go above a certain rate again, it adds exercise calories, right? And depending on your weight, depending on your fitness level, just going for a walk, your watch will count it as exercise. For some people, to get your heart rate up to a point where your watch counts it as exercise, you might need to do something a lot more vigorous than going for a walk, right? It's all down to weight, it's all down to fitness levels. So, basically, I don't quite know exactly how the Apple Watch does it, but it won't be a million miles from this. So, what we would class as exercise is when we take our heart rate to 60%, right, of maximum or more, right? That is what is classed as exercise. So how do you work out your maximum heart rate? So your maximum heart rate is 220 minus your age, right? So if you're 50 years of age, right, 220 minus your age is 170. And it's just a rough formula. It doesn't mean, this is, if you're quite a very fit 50-year-old, your maximum heart rate can be higher than that. If you're quite a very unfit 50-year-old, your maximum heart rate might be lower than that. But it's just a good sort of look, right? So let's say you're 50, right? And so maximum heart rate is 220 minus is 170. And what that is basically when you're exercising, when you're doing anything, the maximum you should be able to take your heart to for a period is 170. And when you take your heart to a maximum heart rate at 170, you'll be what's called anaerobic. And when you take your heart rate to an anaerobic level, the body, you can only do it for so long before you have to take a break. So a lot of people think, I'll have an heart attack if you won't. Your body's very, very clever. It's very, very rare anyone has a heart attack when they're exercising unless they've got an issue with their heart. So obviously we see footballers that have run up and down pitch and next thing they keel over. And that's not because they've took their heart rate to a certain level. It's because they have an underlying health condition with their heart that hasn't been spotted. And obviously, it doesn't matter how fit and healthy you are. Unfortunately, unfortunately, some people are just susceptible because they've got whatever issues with their underlying issues with their heart. They've probably had it from when they were born. It's just never been detected, right? And as you get older, it comes out. So 170. So 60% of 170. So if you've got a calculator and do 70 times 0.6, right, is 102. So if your maximum heart rate is 170, when you do over 100, when you're doing something that takes your heart rate over 100 beats per minute, that then classes as an exercise. So cardiovascular exercise, which is how we would improve lung function, really improve our heart function, is taking your heart rate between 60 and 80% of your maximum. So if you're 50, your maximum heart rate is 170, your range for cardiovascular exercise is 102 to 136. If you sit your heart rate anywhere between that, you're getting fitter and healthier, right? And whether that's going for a walk, whether it's on a bike, whether it's rowing in the gym, cross trainer, whether it's lifting weights, whether it's playing tennis, whether it's playing badminton, whether it's doing Pilates, it doesn't matter, right? If your heart rate is sat, it doesn't matter what exercise you're doing, it's cardiovascular fitness and it's going to improve your overall health. When we take our heart rate above and 60 to 8% is called aerobic exercise. So that's what aerobics is. And you should be able to do aerobic exercise for long periods of time, for maybe an hour. When we take the heart rate higher than 80%, that is when you stop being aerobic and you start being anaerobic. And when we take our heart rate to an anaerobic level, you can only do that for short blasts. So if you've ever gone to the gym and done like a circuit class or HIIT training, so high intensity interval training is HIIT training, you will work through anaerobic and aerobic zones, because you might go on to a station for a minute and you might be doing whatever, skipping for a minute. And when you skip for a minute, or running on the spot, or doing like a slam ball exercise or battle ropes, doing that for a minute, you're going to take your heart rate up to a point where your body goes, I can't sustain this for a long period of time. And then on a circuit class, you might do that for a minute, and then you might have a 30-second break in between. And when you have that 30-second break, that's where your heart rate can then return recovery. And then you might do another exercise, and then your heart rate will recover, right? So with your Apple Watch, and your Apple Watch will work on those sort of parameters. So if you're currently, 40, so your maximum heart rate's 180, so your parameters are going to be like 110 to 145. And if you're walking rate and your average heart rate's like 115, 120, it'll add exercise to watch, because that is exercise for you. Does that kind of make sense? Mr. Stark, good morning. Hope you're all good. So I'm okay then. I'm on 34. It's just a very generic term. So when I do my spin class on a Saturday morning, it's quite high intensity. It wasn't as high intensity this week because my lungs were burning a little bit, because I've got a little bit of a chesty, like sinusy thing. I said that last week. I was coming down with something. The week before, last Saturday, I averaged 160 beats per minute. Now, I'm 44 years of age. So if you take 220 minus 44, so my maximum heart rate is 176. If I then times that by 0.8, which is my highest level, is 141. So really, on average, if I do anything that's 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes, the maximum my heart rate should be is 141. My spin class last week, I don't actually know what it was this week. It'll be a bit less this week. But last week, I did my spin class. My work rate of my spin class was 35 minutes. And my average heart rate was 160 beats per minute. 19 above what my maximum heart rate should be at 44 for aerobic exercise. So how can I do 35 minutes at an average heart rate of 160? It didn't sit at 160. It will have gone to 170 at some point. It will have gone to 150. But why is it constantly on average above? How can I do that for 35? Because of my fitness levels, right? Because I'm not like stupidly fit and healthy, but I'm pretty fit and healthy. I exercise on a regular basis. I do a spin class every week. And that's just the reason. That's just it. you know. Whereas my mate Matt, he come on Saturday to my spin class. He used to come to him a couple of years ago, and he was like, "Right, I've not done this for a bit." And he walked off his bike, and he was like, "I'm in absolute bits." Like, and I didn't even look at what his average heart rate was. But like I said to him, "We've not done it for a couple of years, and I can see the effort you were putting in. Get consistent with it, and your fitness will come back." You know. Right, let me scan up. So, like I say, it's just a bit of a generic one, really, but it's just something to have a look at. Yeah. It don't half get harder when you get lighter to hit those high numbers on heart rate, though. Absolutely, 100%. So why does it? The lighter you get, why does it get harder? Because your body doesn't have to work as hard. That's fitness levels, right? And that's good. That's really good. But that's where we have to push ourselves. You know, the fitter you get, the lighter you get, the less hard your body has to work. So, you know, someone that's 10 stone, irrelevant of age, right? Someone that's 10 stone and you know, someone that's 10 stone, that's really fit and healthy, if they want to improve their cardiovascular system, right, they'll have to really push. You know, I've PT people that have weighed 8 stone, I've PT people that have weighed 40 stone. And when they put their workout on their watch at the start of their PT session, the person that weighs 8, you know, I think the lightest I've ever trained my friend Vicky, and Vicky's 4 foot, maybe, I don't think she's not bad, but I don't think she watches these. I think Vicky's 4'10", and she weighed 8.5 stone when I used to PT her. And she actually came to me for rehab because she broke her back. She was doing monkey bars with her kids, and she slipped, landed on a coccyx, and broke the bottom of her back. So she had to have an operation, had her back sorted out. It was no major issues. And then after a year, she came to me, and then we were doing rehab to strengthen her back. But she used to put her watch on, and don't get me wrong, to start off with, her sessions were quite light anyway, because it was more of a rehab sort of PT session than a fitness kind of PT session. She, like, to get Vicky to burn on her watch 250 calories in an hour was tough. Whereas, you know, I had some other clients that were 40 stone, really unhealthy, unfortunately, and struggled, and they were doing nearly 1,500 calories in an hour because their body just automatically is just working. So, you know, someone that's 8.5 stone walking, right, compared to someone that's 40 stone, you know, if you strapped an extra 30 stone to that 8.5 stone person, they wouldn't be able to move anyway. But if you strapped that 30 stone to an 8.5, if they took 4 steps, they'd burn 100 calories because of how much weight they're moving. Does that kind of make sense? So yeah, it does get harder. It does get harder. My heart rate used to be over 100 resting, now 90 resting. That's one of the reasons to walk. Yeah, absolutely. So really, ideally, we want to get our resting heart rate. The target is 60. 60. Anything under 70, we're all right with that. 60 or less, that's where we want to be. Anything 60 or less is where we want to be. And when your resting heart rate is between 50 and 60, it means your heart isn't having to work as hard to pump the blood around the body, and it's just a really good sign of fitness. You know, a really good sign of a really good sign of fitness. Right, I've seen people say that people in menopause should avoid HIIT exercise. What's your thoughts? Don't avoid anything. No, there's absolutely no basis to that whatsoever. You know, look, if you're going through the menopause, we've already discussed this quite a bit in this live, you are going to have an underactive thyroid. There's a very good chance, right? It's one of the conditions of going through the menopause. The hormone imbalance causes an underactive thyroid. And like I say, that's going to knock your metabolism down by about 10%. And that's going to, it's going to cause some fatigue. It's going to cause some little mood swings. It does all those things, right? It has a knock-on effect, right? But because of that, you know, if someone going through the menopause does have a good level of fitness, they're not going to notice that fatigue anywhere near as much as someone that doesn't have a good level of fitness, right? Now, I'm a weight loss coach, and I coach a lot of people that have a weight issue. And I don't like stereotyping, but I'm going to. You know, a lot of people that have a weight issue that are going through the menopause tend to not have the best levels of fitness, right? And that's just a trend that I've noticed. And And because of that lack of fitness, then the fatigue, the slowdown in metabolism a little bit is exaggerated. It's a lot worse, you know. Whereas if you are fit and healthy, you've always lived a fit and healthy lifestyle. You've always exercised on a regular basis. The effects of having an underactive thyroid or going through the hormone imbalance of the menopause will be, you know, I don't mean things won't affect you. Of course they will, but they'll be a lot easier to manage. So health and fitness, and do whatever exercise. It doesn't matter what if you enjoy doing HIIT classes, do HIIT classes. You enjoy doing body pump, do body pump. If you enjoy lifting weights in the gym, lift weights in the gym. There's absolutely no reason, rhyme or I'd love to know people's. I think people come up with it because you get like people will lie to get you to use them more than. So you might go to a gym, right, and you might work with a personal trainer, and you might have 2 sessions a week with that personal trainer. And you might go, look, I think I'm going through the menopause at the moment. Right? And that personal trainer knows that you come to the gym 4 times a week, you have 2 sessions with them, and you go to a HIIT class twice a week. Well, why not fearmonger around doing HIIT with the menopause? Because that might then mean that you do an extra PT session with them so you're paying more money. And you might be like, well, that sounds really cynical, Neil. Yeah, it does, but it happens. Right? It happens. People will lie like mad to increase their bank account. It really is that simple. Look at social media. What's his name? Eddie Abu that blew up 18 months ago, whatever, and he was walking around supermarkets. Don't eat this. Don't eat that. All this rubbish. The reality is he doesn't eat the way he eats in his social media, but people love it. They buy into it. It's blown his following up, and it'll have earned him a good bit of money from it. You know, he actually put a post on the other day where he was in a restaurant with his family, and he literally put, I eat food like this once a week. He never ever puts content like that on. And literally his comments, so you can eat stuff in moderation. You can eat stuff in moderation. There was literally things like that all the way through it. And it's like, if you really watch someone on social media that is like, I only do this, I only do that, I only do that. It's a game show. It's not a game. It's a soap opera, right? What you see on here isn't their everyday life. You see, let's say they post 3 1-minute videos a day, right? And they do that 7 days a week. You're seeing 21 minutes of their life, right? You're seeing 21 minutes of their life. There's like 1,440 minutes in a week. You're not even seeing 1% of what they do in a week. Yet people just buy into it and go, oh, right, well, you should just eat eggs and steak. It's like as if, you know, people that understand nutrition look at him and go, if he didn't eat carbohydrates, he'd be catabolic with the amount of calories he eats, right? Look at he's 62. Look at his muscle mass, right? You could not be 62 with that muscle mass unless he still takes steroids, which he obviously does, right? Without eating carbohydrates, because you'd be more catabolic than anabolic. And you couldn't do that eating 1 meal a day either, right? But people buy into it. They love it, right? And that'll have earned him a lot of money. But unfortunately, people are willing to lie like that on social media to get people to talk, you know. Amanda, morning, Neil. Good morning, Amanda. I'm 52, getting back walking. Where do I measure my basic fitness? Basic fitness, I think, it's down to heart rate, resting heart rate. Like I say, if you've got an Apple Watch, I assume Samsung watches and Garmin's all that have heart rate monitors on them. There's no reason not to. It fits to your wrist. You've got an artery in your wrist, so there's a pulse in your wrist, so it's dead easy for them to read your heart rate. But yeah, I think basic fitness is always down to heart rate, right? Two signs of fitness levels: resting heart rate and how quickly you recover after exercise. So how fast your heart actually beats while you're exercising is kind of irrelevant. It's when you stop exercising, how long does it take for you to recover, right? So if I do my spin class, 40 minutes work, blowing out my gasket, you know, my heart's averaging 160 beats per minute. As soon as I stop spinning and jump off the bike, my breath's back to normal in a minute. Right, my heart rate goes from 160 beats per minute to walking rate in a couple of minutes. That's a good sign. And my resting heart rate average, I think, at the moment is about 54 beats per minute. So that's how you'd level basic fitness. right? My resting heart rate 62, decent. That's all right. Like I say, anything under 70 or under, we're all good. 50 to 60, you're really good, right? You're really good. Anything less than, some athletes, the resting heart rate's late 40s, right? But it's quite hard to get your heart rate down that low. I'm not saying it can't happen, but you're in a really good state. Yeah, I've never had my thyroid checked actually since being post menopause. Is it really that common for menopause to cause thyroid? Yeah, absolutely it is. But it's not something that really needs massively testing. A lot of people jump onto this underactive thyroid. Loads of people have underactive thyroid. It's just a slight down regulation. It's nothing major. And the more healthy your diet is, the more you move on a day-to-day basis, the less. But yeah, it is very, very common. It's like one of the side effects of going through the menopause. And again, and when I say the average is 10%, right, that's the average. The average down regulation of metabolism through going through the menopause is 10%. Right? Will there be the odd person out there where it's 15%? Yeah. Likewise, there'll be the odd person out there where it's just 5%. Right? Is there? It's nothing. It's nothing. It's a lot of people jump on it. This the same as a lot of things because a lot of people have been given a lot of false information behind it. That's why a lot of people jump on it. A lot of people are, and it's the same with things like your polycystic ovaries. It's the same with things like the menopause. A lot of people jump on it, and it becomes a relatable reason. Someone used a term the other day that was fantastic, and I meant to write it down. And basically, and it summed up whether it's true or not. If a lot of people use that reason or believe that reason, it becomes not anecdotal. I'm going to have to go back and watch the video. I've got the video somewhere, but they used this term, and it was just a really good. It's probably the official terminology. I've just never known it for. So it's things like time, right? Time is the biggest excuse, right, that we all use for everything, not just weight loss, not just exercise. We use I just haven't got time. I haven't got time. And why we use that is because it is the most relatable excuse because it's so common, right? You could go to the school playground this morning, you could go into the office, right? And if there's 20 people in your office and you say you haven't got time to go to the gym, I guarantee at least 50% of people in that office will go, yeah, I'm the same. Those same people have got time to binge watch Netflix and binge watch this, that, and the other, and do this, that, and but they haven't got time. But it just becomes a relatable excuse, right? And that's the same with things. And trust me, I'm not trying to say like if you are currently going through the menopause, weight loss is as easy as if you're in your late 20s. It isn't. Right? I'm not saying that. Right? Please don't think I am. Right? Because that hormone imbalance and those changes. It does make it harder to control your eating. Yes, it can increase fatigue, right? And all these things are going to negatively impact your consistency. That's the issue. But like I say, I think when you're aware of it and you understand it and we can put certain things in place to try and counterbalance it, it makes it a lot easier. Yeah. Found it so interesting. I had flu just before Christmas, and my resting heart rate was so much. Yeah, because it can. There's certain illnesses that can bump your heart rate up 100%. Why can why does illness? Well, your blood is the only thing that heals the body, right? So your blood carries everything. It carries if you break a bone, if you if you've got any viruses. Your blood carries all your blood cells around to fight viruses. Your blood carries all your proteins around everything to heal your bones. So obviously, if you are ill, right, your body wants to get more blood flow around your body to keep fighting what's going on, because that's all flu is. It's a virus. It's an illness in the body. So yeah, it can raise your heart rate a little bit to get more blood flow to that area to help it heal. Yeah. Right, you lovely people. That's me. I'm out of here. I'm done for this morning. It's been a good live. That lots of questions, right? Lots and lots of questions. Anyway, if you need help with your weight loss, as always, TikTok profile, YouTube channel, Facebook page. get to my link tree. Click on my link tree. First time my link tree is an inquiry form. You can touch base. Hi, Neil. If you're just like, no, I want to join the community, £5 for your first month using code WELCOME. No contract cancel any time. You want to take advantage of my January offer, 20 quid sign up, £30 a month, free month at the end of the minimum 3 month term on my one-to-one plan. Complete the 3 months, you'll get your 4th month free of charge. If you want all that, like I say, you can just send an inquiry form over and I'll directly send you all the details, or in my link tree is the links just to go straight to my website and get signed up. You've got till Wednesday evening this week to sign up if you want to start on plan a week today. So my next start date for my plan is 27th of Jan. Sign up by Wednesday evening, get your consultation form over to me. I'll sort your plan out. I'll get it sent over to you, and then you can start a week today. Right, I'm back on TikTok. And, well, let me sign off to TikTok, and then I'll sign off to everyone else now. So, yes, I'm back TikTok at 8 p.m. tonight. If you're on planning my community and you need me for anything, either get in the WhatsApp Q&A group if you're on the community or just message me. But I'll be back at 8 p.m. this evening on the old TikToks. And to you lovely people on Facebook and YouTube, I'll be back again at 8 p.m. this evening. There's only one evening live this week, and there's only one evening live that's Facebook, YouTube, and that is tonight. So 8 o'clock tonight, Facebook, YouTube. I'll hopefully see you then.